What if some of the most effective strength-building exercises require almost no movement at all? Most people believe getting stronger means lifting heavier weights, doing more reps, and spending more time in the gym. But some of the strongest athletes, martial artists, and rehabilitation specialists on the planet use a completely different method, one that most gym goers walk right past without a second glance. It's called isometric training. And today you're going to discover 10 incredibly powerful exercises that can build serious strength, stability, and body control without endless repetitions, without heavy equipment, and without beating up your joints. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll have a complete system you can start using immediately. And a few of these exercises are going to completely change the way you think about what it means to be strong. Let's start with the basics, because understanding why isometrics work is what separates people who get results from people who just go through the motions. In a traditional exercise, your muscles are constantly shortening and lengthening. That's called isotonic movement. A bicep curl, a squat, a push-up. Your muscles contract, your joints move, and the weight travels through a range of motion. Isometric training is fundamentally different. In an isometric exercise, your muscles produce force without any visible movement. You're holding a position, bracing hard, and generating massive tension, but your joint angle stays the same. Think of it like pushing against an immovable wall. Your muscles are working incredibly hard, but nothing is moving. That tension is exactly where the strength comes from. Here's what most people never realize about isometric training. When you hold a position under tension, your nervous system learns to recruit more muscle fibers simultaneously than it typically would during a moving exercise. This is called motor unit recruitment, and it's one of the primary reasons strength increases. Your body gets better at turning on more muscle at once. Research has shown that isometric training can increase strength, not just at the angle you're training, but across a range of motion around that joint. And because you're not grinding through full repetitions under load, your joints stay in a safer, more controlled position throughout the entire set. That's why physical therapists, sports rehab specialists, and athletic coaches have been using isometrics for decades, and why it's genuinely surprising that most people in the gym have almost no idea how to use them properly. The benefits go even further than pure strength. Isometric holds dramatically improved stability, the ability of your muscles to keep a joint or a body position locked in place under pressure. They improve muscular endurance, because holding a position for time teaches your muscles to sustain contraction. They improve posture, because many of the most powerful isometric positions are exactly the alignment you want your body to hold throughout daily life. And they build what coaches call body awareness, a deep understanding of where your body is in space and how to control it precisely. These are qualities that translate directly into athletic performance, injury prevention, and simply feeling more capable in your body every day. Now, let's get into the 10 exercises. These are arranged strategically. We'll move through the body systematically, and each one builds on the last. Pay close attention to the positioning cues, because with isometrics, position is everything. And the next movement may be the most underrated one on this list. So stay with me all the way through. We're starting with the wall sit, and before you scroll past thinking you already know this one, hear me out. The wall sit is one of the most brutally effective lower body isometric exercises that exists, and the vast majority of people perform it in a way that cuts the benefits in half. Here's how to do it properly. Find a flat wall. Place your back completely flat against it, not just your upper back, your entire back from shoulders to hips, and slide down until your thighs are parallel to the floor. Your knees should be directly above your ankles, not drifting forward past your toes. Your feet should be hip-width apart, flat on the floor. Now here's the critical part most people miss. Actively press your lower back into the wall. Don't let it arch away, and drive your heels into the floor like you're trying to push the ground away from you. That last cue activates your hamstrings and glutes in a way most people never feel in a wall sit. The muscles doing the work here are your quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and your hip flexors as stabilizers. Start by holding for 30 seconds. If that feels easy, push towards 60, then 90. Once you can hold for 2 minutes with perfect form, you can add a challenge by placing a weight plate on your thighs or by shifting more weight onto one leg at a time. The real-world applications are massive. Every time you need to decelerate, change direction, or hold a low athletic stance, your quadriceps are the primary stabilizers. Building their ability to sustain contraction translates directly into better performance in sports, better knee stability, and reduced injury risk. The surprising benefit of the wall sit that almost nobody talks about is its effect on mental toughness. Because there's no movement, no rhythm, no distraction, just you holding that uncomfortable position, it teaches you to breathe through discomfort and maintain form when your body wants to quit. That's a skill that transfers to every other form of training you do. Moving upward through the body, we arrive at the plank hold. And this is where things get really interesting, because the plank is simultaneously one of the most commonly performed exercises and one of the most commonly butchered ones. Done correctly, the plank is a full-body isometric movement that builds deep core strength, shoulder stability, and spinal integrity simultaneously. Done incorrectly, it's just a way to spend time on the floor feeling vaguely uncomfortable without accomplishing much. Here's the correct setup. Get into a push-up position, but rest on your forearms instead of your hands. Your elbows should be directly under your shoulders, not forward, not back, directly under. Your body should form a perfectly straight line from the top of your head to your heels. Now here are the 4 cues that separate a good plank from a great one. First, squeeze your glutes as hard as you can. This locks your pelvis in place and protects your lower back. Second, brace your core like you're about to take a punch, not just suck in your stomach, but actively create intra-abdominal pressure outward in all directions. Third, push the floor away with your forearms, creating tension through your shoulders and upper back. Fourth, keep your neck neutral. Your eyes should be looking at the floor about a foot in front of your hands, not craning up toward the wall. The muscles involved are essentially your entire body working in coordination. Transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis, obliques, glutes, hip flexors, serratus anterior, and the deep stabilizing muscles of your spine. Start with 20 to 30 second holds. Build towards 60 seconds. Once you reach 90 seconds to 2 minutes with absolutely no compensation, no hips rising, no sagging, no shaking that changes your position, you're genuinely strong. Common mistakes include letting the hips pike up because it feels easier, letting the lower back sag because your glutes aren't firing, and forgetting to breathe. Never hold your breath during an isometric exercise. Breathe steadily and rhythmically throughout the hold. And the next movement may be the most underrated one on this entire list. The side plank hold takes everything the plank does and forces your body to resist lateral forces, side-to-side instability that traditional training almost never addresses. Your lateral chain, meaning the muscles running along the sides of your body, plays a massive role in spine health, hip stability, and athletic movement. But because most exercises move forward and backward, the lateral chain gets neglected. The side plank fixes that directly. Lie on your side with your bottom elbow directly under your shoulder. Stack your feet or stagger them slightly for more stability. Lift your hips off the ground until your body forms a straight line from head to heels. Your top hand can rest on your hip or reach toward the ceiling. The key positioning cues. Don't let your hips drop toward the floor. Don't let them rise above the line of your body. And keep your bottom shoulder packed, meaning don't let your body sink into that shoulder. Pull your shoulder blade down and back, creating a stable base. Hold for 20 to 45 seconds on each side to start, building towards 60 to 90 seconds. The muscles working hardest here are your obliques, quadratus lumborum, that deep lateral lower back muscle that almost nobody directly trains, your hip abductors, and your glutes. A strong side plank means better lateral stability in every sport, better spine support during heavy lifting, and a dramatic reduction in the kind of lower back pain that comes from asymmetry and lateral weakness. If you find one side noticeably weaker than the other, that imbalance is important information. Spend extra time on the weaker side. Now we're going to move to a hold that looks deceptively simple, but is genuinely one of the most challenging positions in this entire list for most people. The hollow body hold is the foundation of gymnastic strength and an exercise that reveals exactly how well your core can function as a true stabilizing unit, rather than just a collection of muscles that look good in a mirror. Lie flat on your back. Extend your arms overhead so they're alongside your ears. Extend your legs. Now press your lower back firmly into the floor. This is the key position. and lift your shoulders, arms, and legs just off the ground. Your body should look like a shallow bowl or a banana curve. Everything from your lower back is in contact with the floor. Your legs are off the ground, extended and squeezed together, held somewhere between 6 inches and 2 feet high, depending on your strength level. Your arms are extended overhead, also elevated. You are holding this position through your core alone. The challenge here is that the moment your lower back loses contact with the floor, the exercise is over and you need to reset. That's the signal. Most people don't notice their lower back lifting because they're focused on keeping their legs up. Keep the back pressed down and lower your legs only as far as you can maintain that contact. Start with holds of 10 to 20 seconds. Yes, that's short because doing it correctly for 15 seconds is worth far more than doing it sloppily for a minute. Build over time toward 30, 45, and 60 seconds. The muscles being trained are your transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis, hip flexors, and the deep stabilizers of your spine. The hollow body hold builds the kind of core strength that translates into every overhead movement, every pressing exercise, and every athletic scenario where your spine needs to maintain position under load. This is where things get really interesting. Gymnasts who can perform this hold for 2 minutes straight have core strength that most weightlifters can only dream of, despite never touching a barbell for core work. Halfway through our list, and we're going to shift focus to the posterior chain, the muscles on the back of your body that are the foundation of power, posture, and injury prevention. The glute bridge hold is the entry point to training this critical area isometrically, and it's an exercise with benefits that go well beyond what most people expect. Lie on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor, about hip-width apart. Drive your hips up until your body forms a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. Squeeze your glutes as hard as you possibly can at the top, and I mean as hard as you can, not just moderately. Your feet should be driving into the floor, your upper back should be stable on the ground, and there should be no arch in your lower back. Tuck your pelvis slightly, a posterior pelvic tilt to ensure your glutes are fully contracted rather than your lower back taking over. Hold this position for 30 to 60 seconds. The muscles working are your glutes, hamstrings, and lower back stabilizers. But here's what most people never realize about the glute bridge hold specifically. The sustained contraction teaches your glutes to stay activated, which is critically important because glute inhibition, the inability of the glutes to properly fire, is one of the primary causes of lower back pain, knee pain, and hip dysfunction in modern people who sit for long hours every day. By holding the bridge position under sustained tension, you're not just building strength, you're retraining your nervous system to keep the glutes online. Progress by moving to a single leg variation, holding the non-working leg extended while the standing foot drives into the ground. Now we move to the split squat hold, and this one will humble you in ways the previous exercises may not have. Unlike the wall sit, which trains both legs simultaneously, the split squat hold places almost all the demand on one leg at a time, your front leg, while also requiring significant stability from your rear leg and hip flexors. Get into a split squat position, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back with the rear toes tucked under. Lower yourself until your rear knee is hovering just above the floor, about an inch of clearance. Your front knee should be at roughly 90 degrees. Your torso should be upright. Your front foot should be flat on the floor. Now hold that position without your rear knee touching the ground. The front leg is working your quadriceps, glutes, and hamstrings simultaneously. The rear leg is working your hip flexors and quad. Your core is bracing to prevent your torso from tipping forward or rotating. This is one of the most comprehensive single-leg strength exercises you can do, and the isometric version is particularly valuable because it forces you to own the position to genuinely be stable in the bottom of a split squat, rather than just passing through it on the way up. Start with 20 to 30 second holds. Build toward 60 seconds. Switch sides and notice whether one side is significantly weaker. That asymmetry in unilateral strength is often a leading indicator of injury risk. The real-world application here is profound. Every time you step forward, climb stairs, decelerate from a run, or change direction, you are essentially loading one leg in a split position. Building isometric strength in that position means you're training directly for the demands of real movement. We've built a strong foundation in the lower body and core. Now we shift to the upper body, and the isometric push-up hold is the perfect bridge between what we've done and where we're going. Most people never consider holding any position in a push-up, but the mid-range hold, the hardest point in the movement, is where remarkable things happen for your pushing strength and shoulder stability. Get into a push-up position with your hands slightly wider than shoulder width. Lower yourself until your elbows are at roughly 90 degrees your body at the midpoint of the push-up. Hold there. Your chest, triceps, anterior deltoids, and serratus anterior are all under tension simultaneously. Your core must brace to prevent your hips from sagging. Your shoulder blades must stay protracted, meaning pushed out away from your spine, not pinching together. This position is genuinely difficult. 10 to 20 seconds is a reasonable starting point. Build toward 30 to 45 seconds. The chest and shoulder strength built in this specific angle has direct carryover to pressing performance, contact sports, and any activity requiring pushing power. But here's the surprising benefit of the isometric push-up hold that most people miss. It builds tremendous serratus anterior strength, the muscle that sits underneath your armpit along your rib cage that is responsible for keeping your shoulder blades stable against your rib cage. Weak serratus anterior is a primary cause of shoulder impingement and dysfunction. This hold trains it directly. Stay with me, because the final 3 exercises challenge your body in a completely different way, and the last one may be the most underrated movement in this entire list. The pull-up hold takes the isometric approach and applies it to the pulling pattern, arguably the most underdeveloped movement pattern in the average person's training. You don't need to be able to do a full pull-up to benefit from the isometric hold, but if you can, here's how to use it most effectively. Pull yourself up until your chin is above the bar, or your chest is close to the bar. Hold that top position. Your lats, biceps, rear deltoids, and rhomboids are all contracting simultaneously to maintain your position. Keep your shoulders packed, pulled down, and away from your ears, not shrugging up. Keep your core engaged, so you're not just hanging from your arms with a passive body. If you're working toward your first full pull-up, you can use a box or a band to get to the top position and hold there. This is an enormously effective way to build the exact strength needed for the movement. Start with 5 to 10 second holds at the top. Build toward 20 to 30 seconds. The strength built in this position has direct carryover to every pulling movement, rows, pull-ups, any overhead work, and a massive range of athletic activities. But more importantly, the scapular stability trained in this position plays a critical role in shoulder health. Many shoulder problems stem from inadequate scapular control during pulling movements. The pull-up hold teaches your body to maintain proper shoulder mechanics under the specific demand of pulling loads. And now we arrive at the dead hang, an exercise so simple it looks like it does nothing, and yet it may be one of the most beneficial movements in this entire video for long-term shoulder health and grip strength. Grab a pull-up bar with an overhand grip, shoulder width or slightly wider. Let yourself hang completely. Don't actively pull your shoulders up toward your ears. Let the weight of your body create traction through your shoulder joints. But also, don't be completely passive. Maintain just enough tension through your lats to keep your shoulders slightly depressed and your shoulder blades gently retracted. This is called an active hang, and it's far more beneficial than a purely passive one. Start with 20 to 30 second holds. Build toward 60 seconds, then 2 minutes. Most people skip this exercise because it looks too simple, and that is a massive mistake. The dead hang builds grip strength that carries over to every pulling exercise and most athletic activity. It creates traction in the shoulder joint, decompressing the rotator cuff and the structures of the glenohumeral joint that get compressed during pressing and overhead activities. It builds the lower trapezius and serratus anterior strength needed to maintain healthy shoulder mechanics. And it is one of the best rehabilitative and preventative exercises for shoulder impingement, rotator cuff issues, and general overhead discomfort. If you can dead hang for 2 minutes with controlled breathing and a stable shoulder position, your shoulder health and grip strength are at a level that puts you ahead of the vast majority of people who train regularly. It's that simple, and it's that important. Our final exercise is the calf raise hold. And while it might sound like a minor footnote at the end of this list, the isometric calf hold addresses a muscle group that plays an enormous role in ankle stability, lower leg endurance, Achilles tendon health, and athletic performance, and it's almost universally undertrained. Stand on the edge of a step with your heels hanging off. Rise up onto the balls of your feet as high as you can, full plantar flexion, and hold that top position. Your calves, specifically the gastrocnemius and soleus, are under full contraction. Hold for 20 to 45 seconds. If you need more challenge, do it on one leg. The sustained contraction builds endurance in the calf complex that pure dynamic calf raises don't develop in the same way. The Achilles tendon, which connects your calf muscles to your heel, responds extremely well to isometric loading. It's one of the primary protocols used in Achilles tendinopathy rehabilitation. The ankle stability built through this hold reduces injury risk in every activity that involves jumping, landing, cutting, or running. Now that you have all 10 exercises, let's talk about how to put them together, because information without application doesn't change anything. Here's a simple weekly structure that will let you experience the real power of isometric training without overcomplicating things. 3 days a week, perform 5 to 7 of these exercises as a focused isometric training session. Choose a mix of lower body, core, and upper body movements. Perform 2 to 3 sets of each hold with rest periods of equal length to your hold time. On days when you're doing other training, weightlifting, cardio, sports, use 2 or 3 of these exercises as a warm-up or finisher. The glute bridge hold and dead hang are particularly effective before a training session. The plank and hollow body hold work well as finishers. Progress conservatively. Add 5 seconds to your holds each week, or advance to a more challenging variation every 2 to 3 weeks. Consistency over time is where the real strength gains happen with isometric training. These are not exercises where doing more in one session matters. What matters is doing them regularly, with perfect positioning, and progressively challenging yourself over weeks and months. Now let's talk about the mistakes that will undermine all of this, because knowing what not to do is as important as knowing what to do. The single most common mistake in isometric training is holding your breath. When you stop breathing, your blood pressure spikes, your core can't maintain proper intra-abdominal pressure rhythmically, and your endurance drops significantly. Breathe continuously throughout every single hold. Slow, controlled nasal breathing is ideal. If you can't breathe while holding a position, you're either in the wrong position or you've exceeded your current strength level. Drop the difficulty until you can breathe. The second major mistake is poor posture in the held position. Because there's no movement, every second you spend in incorrect alignment is training your nervous system to be strong in an incorrect position. Before starting your hold, set your position deliberately. Check every cue, then hold. If your form breaks down, and you'll know because you'll feel yourself compensating, stop, reset, and continue rather than grinding through poor positioning for extra seconds. The third mistake is quitting too early. Isometric training requires you to stay in discomfort. The burn, the shake, the mental voice saying, "It's enough," that discomfort in the final 10 to 20 seconds of a quality hold is where much of the adaptation happens. Learn to distinguish between the discomfort of a working muscle and actual pain, and push through the former while respecting the latter. Pain in a joint, sharp or shooting sensations, numbness, those are signals to stop. Muscular burning and fatigue are signals to stay. The fourth mistake is progressing too fast. Because isometric training doesn't require heavy equipment and doesn't produce visible fatigue in the same way heavy lifting does, people often try to add too much time or advance to harder variations before they've genuinely mastered the basics. Let your positions become rock solid before adding challenge. A perfect 30-second wall sit is better training than a sloppy 90-second one. Finally, ignoring recovery is a mistake that catches up with people. Isometric training, particularly when holds are long and intense, creates real muscular fatigue and neural fatigue. Your body needs time to adapt. 2 to 3 dedicated sessions per week is enough to produce significant results. More is not automatically better. Let's bring this together with the full picture of what consistent isometric training will do for you over time. Within 2 to 4 weeks of regular practice, most people notice improved stability in familiar movements. Their squat feels more controlled, their shoulder feels more solid, their balance improves. Within 6 to 8 weeks, strength gains become measurable. Research consistently shows that 6 to 8 weeks of isometric training produces strength increases of 15 to 30% at trained joint angles, with carryover across related ranges of motion. Within 3 to 4 months, the combination of strength, stability, muscular endurance, and body awareness creates a foundation that makes every other form of training more effective. The athletes, coaches, and trainers who understand isometric training know something that the average gym goer hasn't discovered yet, that the ability to hold a position perfectly, to generate force without movement, to be stable under pressure, is the foundation everything else in physical performance is built on. Dynamic strength without isometric control is speed without brakes. Power without stability is a recipe for injury. The exercises you've learned today are the tools that build the foundation most people are missing. Here's your challenge. Take the 10 exercises from this video. Over the next 7 days, practice at least 5 of them every day. Not for long sessions, 15 to 20 minutes is enough. Focus on position, on breathing, on genuinely feeling the muscles working. Notice where you're weak, where you shake, where one side is stronger than the other. That information is valuable. That's your body telling you exactly where to invest your training. Simple exercises, performed consistently, with complete focus on quality. That's the formula. Not the most exciting promise in fitness, but it's the one that works. The exercises you just learned are used by some of the most capable athletes and strongest humans on the planet. They've been used by physical therapists to rebuild strength after injury. They've been used by martial artists to develop power that doesn't depend on equipment or space. They work because they address the fundamental capacity of your nervous system and muscles to generate and sustain tension. Now you have them. You know exactly how to perform them, how to progress them, how to combine them, and what mistakes to avoid. The only thing left is to start. Not tomorrow, not after your next gym session. Find a wall, get on the floor, grab a pull-up bar, and begin. The strength you build from stillness will change the way you move through everything else.